Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The commencement ceremony will begin in 10 minutes. At this time, please take your seats and clear the aisles for the academic procession. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The commencement ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Please take your seats and completely clear the side aisles and the center aisle at this time. Please fill in the seats between parties so that more people may be seated. During the ceremony, we ask that you do not stand in the aisles or anywhere else that will block the view of others who are seated. Thank you for your cooperation. Ladies and gentlemen, you are invited to direct your attention to the center of the quadrangle for the placing of the wreath on the tomb of William Marsh Rice, during which the traditional hymn of Veni Creator Spiritus will be sung, and after which the academic procession will begin.
Veni Creator Spiritus, mentes tuorum visita, impli superna gratia, que tu creasti pectora, qui diceris Paracletis, altissimi donum Dei, fons vivus ignis caritas, et spiritualis unctio.
Please be seated. My name is David Lebron, and as the president of Rice University, I would like to welcome you all to our university's 106 commencement exercises. A little enthusiasm. We have arranged a comfortable and cool morning for all of you, and we hope also dry. We are going to try to proceed fairly expeditiously to make sure we get out before any rain. It is now my distinct pleasure to introduce a Rice graduate of Hanson College, who is now the chair of our Board of Trustees, Bobby Tudor.
Thank you, President LeBron. And good morning to all of you who are connected to our extraordinary class of 2019 Rice graduates. Parents, family, friends, and neighbors, it's a momentous day for all of us, and we are very pleased to have you here with us at Rice. On behalf of the entire Rice University Board of Trustees, as well as our faculty and administration, we welcome you to our beautiful campus, and we thank you for the role you have played in getting us all to this day. There's likely not a graduate here today that hasn't received meaningful encouragement and support, whether emotional or financial, from their network of family and friends. You are important to this enterprise we call higher education, and we appreciate you. As they say, it takes a village. In addition to thanking you, we also want to encourage you to stay connected to the Rice community and all that it has to offer. Take a class, come to a lecture, attend a concert or a sporting event, be a college kid again. It's fun. And to our new graduates, just know that what you've accomplished is meaningful. You have joined a family of Rice scholars who share a commitment to the importance of the pursuit of knowledge and understanding, as well as a commitment to solving problems and creating opportunity for others. Today is not the end of that journey, it's just the beginning. Please know that we want and need your help to continue to improve the experience of Rice students and make it even more available to talented students like you who are hungry for a chance to do great things. Congratulations to all of you, and onward.
Commencement is a time when the entire university joins together in celebration with the families and friends of our graduates. We welcome all the visitors to our campus today who have literally come from all over the globe. We want you to know how welcome you are on our campus now and every time into the future. We thank our families and parents of our graduates today for lending us these outstanding students and soon-to-be graduates who have contributed so richly to our community here at Rice. And I am pleased to introduce to you on the front rows of our platform the current and former members of the trustees who, despite the threat of rain, have come out in record numbers to celebrate with you your graduation today. Now please rise for the invocation given by the Reverend Laura Mayo.
Would you pray with me? Holy One of love and light, of music and laughter, Holy One of hope and darkness, of silence and tears, we gather this morning in celebration of the accomplishments of these graduates. We rejoice in hard work, late nights and early mornings, papers and presentations. And we rejoice in smiles and laughter, in research and friendships, in experiments and creativity, failure and success. We pray our gratitude for scholarship, for professors and students who teach and learn and grow knowledge together. We pray our gratitude for community, for a residential college system that builds a family culture of connection and tradition. We pray our gratitude for each aspect of university life, for each employee and each student, for each aspect that makes Rice an outstanding university. Holy One of endings and beginnings again, we celebrate the time these graduates had at Rice and know that even though they are graduating, they take with them the knowledge and experience gained in the classroom and on the quad, in lectures and the library, in common rooms and coffee shops. We rejoice in Rice University and the contributions Rice makes to the world. We pray this morning that each of us will commit ourselves to using the gifts we have, gifts many of us have spent the last few years growing and honing. We pray that we will use our gifts not just for ourselves, but also for each other and for the world, that we will use our gifts to work for justice, love, and peace. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Laura. Laura is the Senior Minister of Covenant Church. She's a graduate of Carson Newman College in Jefferson City, Tennessee, and Wake Forest University Divinity School. She completed a year-long CPA chaplaincy program at Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center and also studied at Regents Park College of Oxford University. She is active in Houston interfaith work, including membership in Americans United for the Separation of Church and State Clergy Advisory Group, the Coalition for Mutual Respect of the Anti-Defamation League, the Faith Leaders Coalition, and Interfaith Ministries Multi-Faith Council. She's a clergy surrogate for Memorial Hermann Hospital. Thank you again, Reverend Mayo, for joining us this morning. Long ago, it was a tradition at Rice to have student speakers at the commencement ceremonies. We revived that tradition in 2014. Last night at the bachelor's convocation, we heard inspiring words from Muna Uzodiki of Martell College, who was selected by her peers to speak at that ceremony. This morning, we will hear from past presidents of the Undergraduate Student Association and the Graduate Student Association. Ariana Engels is from Austin, Texas, and she is studying religion and kinesiology. She is a proud member of Lovett College. I think the real reason we have these colleges is so university presidents can know how to get people to cheer and applaud. During Ariana's junior year, she served as the 2018-2019 Student Association president, working closely with students, staff, faculty, and administrators on undergraduate priorities. After graduation, Ariana will continue to pursue her passion for civic engagement, issues of diversity, inclusion, and advocacy for various disenfranchised groups. Please help me welcome past Undergraduate Student Association President Ariana Engels.
Class of 2019, it is an honor to be here before you today. When I was 12 years old, it was my dream to attend Rice University. For many of us, Rice was something we dreamed of for years. For others, we arrived to O Week with unanswered questions. Regardless of how you got here, I am so glad that you did and that you were a part of our community over the course of the last few years. Today marks, for everyone, an exemplary achievement. You will each graduate with a Rice University degree, and for everyone in the audience, this means something different. If you are a student, this means hours of sacrifice studying for your classes. For parents, this means years spent working to pay for your child's education, hours spent supporting your student, and driving them from one activity to another. And for all the mothers out there today, happy early Mother's Day. You have done so much to make all of us who we are today. Yeah. Continuing on, professors, This represents all the hours you spent lecturing, discussing, educating us, all culminating to this moment. And for friends, this means all of the times that we dropped everything, and I mean everything, to support one another. And so at the end of this day, all of the work of the generations before us culminates into this: the growth that each of us has experienced, the accomplishments that we have been able to achieve, and the opportunities we have had over the last few years and the ones that will come after. This degree is, in so many ways, a hope for a better future tomorrow. Class of 2019, you have seen so much over the course of the last few years. We have made it through the floods of Hurricane Harvey, all the way through the floods of the past week, although let's keep our fingers crossed that we won't see any more of that today. We tackled difficult issues head-on, showcased by countless conversations we've had around topics related to diversity and inclusion, our efforts to reduce instances of interpersonal violence through the creation of courses like the Critical Thinking and Sexuality course. Plus, we had 2 beer runs when the Houston weather wasn't quite cooperating, sounds familiar to us today, and significantly increased Rice's civic engagement, continually raised awareness of mental health issues, advocated for immigrant students and students with disabilities, and called for an increase in African presence in academia. We also faced quite a few tuition increases and far too many crowded Y2Ks and architectronicas. We have seen successes as well. During our time here, we've seen a dramatic change in admissions policies to be more inclusive of DACA and undocumented students, continual commitment by the institution to financially support our young scholars, and most importantly, we've seen growth in ourselves, in every student around us today. So today I'm going to speak a little bit about community. And so I learned about the concept of community throughout my childhood. It was the Mexican and Central American communities of Austin, Texas, who truly demonstrated this to me. My mother, one of the people I look up to the most, moved from Mexico to Texas in the 1980s. Many of our family friends growing up had also moved from Mexico or Central America to the United States. And this community that I grew up in was tight-knit, and it truly showed me what it means to want more for your neighbors than what you have for yourself, what it means to help someone when you have little yourself, and what it means to overcome challenges in the face of adversity. It was watching my mother help fellow immigrants as they found their place in the United States that shaped who I am today. What I witnessed as a child, seeing community members help one another, has made me who I am today. It's why I advocate for immigrant youth and why I ran for SA president over a year ago. Rice teaches us quite a lot about community as well. It's the first thing that we all learned at O-Week, and the last thing that we've all practiced, with the exception of me since I'm a junior, via Senior Week and all of the other graduation activities. This institution is one big experiment in community building. What we have learned here within these hedges can solve the world's problems. That does not mean that each of us has to, but what it means is that in many ways, we have the responsibility to help our global community. I have this theory that when you boil down every issue to its most elemental form, one of the main underlying issues is a lack of ability in our world today to form solid communities that are capable of and willing to understand one another's perspectives. Here at Rice, we have learned how to build communities. We have learned what it truly means to be diverse and inclusive and how to imply that. Easily, our most important contribution to the world once we leave today will be this ability to build communities and be understanding of one another. There's this saying, if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And this is where the idea of being part of a diverse community can bring us and bring wherever we go further. And it also proves that we should be working together to solve real-world issues that we face today. Remember to be continually self-aware and to make a difference by being socially responsible. Hold those around you to being socially responsible. Improve our public's health, improve our environment, write policies that are impactful, commit to doing research that is new and innovative, practice ethical business, and above all, help those around you. Take those lessons of community far. 20 years from now, you will hopefully remember all of the lessons that you have learned while you were here at Rice about community building, diversity and inclusion, and critical thinking. When you leave today, the opportunities before you will be endless. I encourage you, as you leave this institution we all call home, to consider what you really want out of your life after Rice and how you can apply what you've learned here to the world beyond. The world is your oyster. Don't lose touch, stay connected as an alumni, and above all, continue to espouse the excellence which you have displayed while you were here. Thank you, and congratulations to the class of 2019 for all that you have accomplished.
Thank you, Ariana, for those wonderful remarks. It has indeed been a great pleasure to work with you on the issues that helped advance our university. Jason Guo is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, and served as president of the Graduate Student Association for 2018-19, advocating for graduate priorities while working closely with student staff, faculty, and administrators. He earned his bachelor's degree from Northwestern University in 2014 and is currently pursuing his doctorate in bioengineering here at Rice. After finishing his degree, Jason aspires to become a professor of bioengineering. Now, please help me welcome our second speaker of the morning, the past president of the Graduate Student Association, Jason Guo.
Thank you for the introduction, President Lebron. So I'd like to start with a question. Who here has looked at the songwriting credits for their favorite pop album? I have. Let's take a look at Thank You Next by Ariana Grande, released this year in 2019. In the credits, you have 31 songwriters, not to mention 8 producers, 4 recording engineers, 2 mix engineers, and a dozen or so other studio personnel with a hand in the creative vision of the album. Now, let's take a step back in time to 1845 and look instead at 3 concert etudes, S-144 by the composer Franz Liszt. Well, if you look at the credits for this, they just consist of Franz and actually no one else. But that's not an indictment on Ariana Grande. Her recordings are actually far better than Liszt's. That's a joke, of course. You know, Liszt doesn't have any recorded work. So I bring this example up. To illustrate a progression in the way that we pursue our creative and intellectual ventures. From 1845 to 2019, from Franz Liszt to Ariana Grande, we've seen bigger teams involved in any creative pursuit and any intellectual pursuit. And that's not just for music. That's also for scientific and humanities research, entrepreneurship, for medicine, and so forth. All of our creative, professional, and scholarly pursuits are now achieved not through the efforts of just a single virtuoso or expert, but rather through the collaboration of several, if not often dozens, of individuals united under a common goal. Take the recent imaging of a black hole, for instance, acquired for the first time by the Event Horizon Telescope. An absolutely mind-blowing feat, right? Thought to be impossible just a generation ago. How many individuals and collaborators do you think were involved there? 10? 12? The answer is 348. 348 authors from 143 different departments and institutions representing North America, South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia are credited on the scientific work that resulted in the world's first image of a black hole. This feat could never have been achieved without collaboration across continents and inspiration from across multiple disciplines of science and engineering. But that's not to say that individuals shouldn't be celebrated. Rightly, they should, for their contributions, for their hard work, and for their ingenuity. But it's clear that this grand accomplishment could not have been achieved by just a modern-day Thomas Edison or Francis Crick. You'd have to acknowledge vital leaders like Rosalind Franklin, first of all, and give due credit as well to the 345 contributing authors. The importance of an international and multidisciplinary community to this feat are clear. But it's not just supermassive black holes and celestial phenomenon 55 million light years away that benefit from collaborative work. Buckyballs, studies of the medical humanities, Kinder Institute surveys of Houston's shifting demographics, and injectable gels for bone and cartilage repair. That's my thesis project. These all require bringing together people with distinct backgrounds, skill sets, and perspectives. And so I urge you, recent graduates, to focus on your relationships with those around you, to focus not just on your book smarts and technical skills, which all of you possess in abundance, but also on your ability to communicate, to lead, and to share your professional resources with those around you who pursue just the same goals. Our greatest feats, whether it's the production of a fantastic pop album or the imaging of a supermassive black hole, are only accomplished by strong, cohesive teams and very robust communities. In these pursuits, some of the greatest ideas can in fact come from inspiration by those who can provide you with a different perspective. So go out there and build a team of your own. Get to know people both inside and outside of your field when you leave this campus. Build and contribute to your own professional, academic, and creative communities, whether it's establishing a stronger network with those in your profession or paying it forward to future Rice students who will be sitting in these chairs at some point as a mentor. Be collegial, be collaborative, and use that Rice unconventional wisdom to lead. You might be surprised by your capabilities. And today, you've taken your first step already by graduating from one of the best universities in Texas and in the nation. Congratulations, class of 2019.
Thank you so much, Jason, for those wise remarks. I would now like to give you a little background on our commencement speaker. We've arranged a little drizzle just to make sure you stay cool. The Honorable Anise Parker served 3 terms each as council member, city controller, and mayor of Houston. She's the only person in Houston history to have held all 3 positions. She was the first openly gay mayor of a top 10 American city and only the 10th woman. Time magazine named Mayor Parker one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2010. Her honors received include Rice University's Distinguished Alumni Award, Scenic Houston's Scenic Visionary Award, Guardian of the Human Spirit Award from Holocaust Museum Houston, Guardian of the Bay Award from Galveston Bay Foundation, and Local Arts Leadership Honoree by Americans for the Arts. Mayor Parker was chair of the U.S. Conference of Mayors Criminal and Social Justice Committee, president of the National Conference of Democratic Mayors, steering committee member of the C40 Cities Climate Leadership Group, and a member of President Obama's Task Force on Climate Preparedness and Resilience, U.S. Department of Homeland Security's Secretary's Advisory Council, and the board of the Houston-Galveston Area Council. Mayor Parker is now president and CEO of the Victory Fund and Victory Institute. She serves on the Policy and Global Affairs Committee of the National Academy of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine, and the boards of Houston Botanic Garden, Houston Bark Foundation, Patient Care Intervention Council, and the Climate Disclosure Project. Prior to joining the Victory Fund, Mayor Parker was Senior Vice President and Chief Strategy Officer of Baker Ripley. She was also a fellow at the Dorr Institute for New Leaders and a professor in the practice at Rice University. She served on the boards of FirstNet and the Airbnb Mayor's Advisory Board. She is a past fellow of the Institute of Politics at Harvard. Mayor Parker spent 20 years working in the oil and gas industry, including 18 years with Mossbacher Energy Company. She also co-owned Inklings, a lesbian feminist bookstore, for 10 years. Mayor Parker and her wife, Kathy Hubbard, have been together since 1991 and are advocates for adoption with 3 daughters and a son. Please join me in welcoming back to Rice our own graduate, Mayor Anise Parker.
So first I have to get something out of the way. Jones College. Jones wins again. Okay, thank you. Now that I've irritated everybody else, thank you to the trustees, faculty, and staff for working every day in furtherance of the mission of this university. Thank you to parents and family and friends who are here. And I especially thank those of you who are still here with those umbrellas out there. But most importantly, thank you to the graduating class. You have brought yourselves to this place consciously, deliberately, with hard work and perseverance, and you have earned those seats. I'm honored to speak today. I have had multiple opportunities to give commencement speeches. When I became mayor of Houston, my stock as a commencement speaker went way up. And I still do a great deal of public speaking, but I have to tell you that a commencement speech is particularly challenging. A commencement address is expected to be inspirational, informative, insightful, and entertaining enough to keep you from fidgeting too much in your seats until the important part of the ceremony arrives. But since the important part of the ceremony was last night, you're captive right now. What should a commencement speech be about? It should be about 15 minutes long. And I'll do my best. This speech was hard to write because 41 years ago, I sat where you are sitting. Actually, I didn't sit where you were sitting. We used to graduate behind us on the Great Lawn, but it's close enough. And 41 years ago, I shared your experience. Well, actually, not quite your experience because there were fewer students, fewer buildings, fewer colleges, and you could drink at 18 on campus, but that's something else as well. But that mixture of excitement and fear, let's name it. And this speech was hard to write because the world never becomes simpler to understand. The problems around us never become easier to solve. And the ability of human beings to wreak havoc is ever evolving. So I did what a TRG, typical Rice gal, would do. I researched recent commencement speeches to get the right frame of mind, and I discovered that there are 4 main categories of commencement speech. There is biography, how I became the famous person I am. There's a paean to new beginnings. Thirdly, there's this one bit of wisdom that you have to know before you leave this place. And the 4th category is the list of good advice that I wish I had known, and of course never would have listened to had someone told me. And actually that 4th category is the default speech I've given before. But after this diligent research, and because I am a politician, I decided to do a mashup of all 4 categories. So I want to quickly talk about the power of failure, what is required of leaders, and what we need of each other. But I'm going to tell you a story. In June of 1986, I was 30 years old. I was working in the oil industry, and I was also the president of the Houston Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus. I'd already appeared on local TV and been quoted in the daily papers on gay issues, and I was one of the most out lesbians in the city of Houston. In the 80s, we had a pride parade back then, and there was always a rally after the parade, and the rally was hosted by the organization I led. It was usually held at Spots Park and would culminate in a big fireworks display. The city park had stadium lights ringing it, and in order for the fireworks to be at maximum visibility, the lights had to go out dramatically at just the right time. I happened to have the keys to most of the light boxes in the city as I coached a women's softball team. I know, that's a stereotype. But the city had installed a new timer in this stadium, and I had to be there to check out, make sure my key worked and the instructions so I could turn out the lights when the time was right. And the park it's bowl-shaped and very steep, and the light box is at the bottom of the hill. And so I got there late on a Friday afternoon. I was trying to head out of town, and I was running through at the last minute, cocky and confident that I knew everything I needed to know to make it all work. And I got down to the bottom of the hill and discovered that I couldn't figure out how to work the lights. My key worked, but I couldn't figure out how to work the lights. And I was picturing that this wonderful activity that was being planned for Sunday evening, it was going to be a disaster. So I trudged back up to my car, and on the hill, at the top of the hill, I saw a City of Houston electrical truck, a savior. And I went over, and it actually had really big tires, and I knocked on the cab and pleaded with the gentleman in the cab of the truck to help me out. And so he climbed out of the cab, and he was about my height, and he was in his 60s, which is not nearly as old as it was back then. And he had a little stub of cigar in his mouth. And he said he'd help me, and so we started walking down the hill. And he had a terrible limp. And the only reason I tell you this is because it was a very long, slow walk down this steep hill. And all I wanted to do was get in there, figure out how to do it, and get out of town. And he started talking to me. And the conversation went very close to this. You know, they sure use this park for a lot of different things. Really? They just let anybody in this park. Well, it's a public park. Well, last week they had a bunch of witches in here. Excuse me? Witches. You know, they were chanting and burning incense and dancing around. I saw that in the paper. There were some Wiccans, and they had a ceremony in this park. It was very interesting. Yeah, witches. You're not a witch, are you? No, sir, I am not. And all I'm thinking is just, come on, we're almost there. Just keep walking. I don't want to have this conversation. I know it's going to go badly if we keep talking. And what kind of event are you having? We're having a party. What kind of party? It's more of a celebration. Well, what are you celebrating? Well, it's more of a political rally. I'm the president of this organization, I remind you. What political party? Well, we're nonpartisan. We welcome everybody. Well, what's the name of the organization? And I stood there and I thought about it a very long time, and then I mumbled under my breath, Gay Political Caucus. And he said, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. And another long pause, and I said, the Gay Political Caucus. And he looked at me for a long time. Well, why are you here? And I said, because I have the key. And we started walking again, and he kept looking at me sideways, and he said, you're not gay, are you? And there was another, unfortunately, very long pause on my part. And I said, well, yes, sir, I am. And he took 2 more steps, and he turned and he looked at me, and he glared at me, and he said, I don't approve of that lifestyle. I don't like you. I don't have to help you with this. And I'm just going to go back and get in my truck and go on down the road. And I said, sir, I really have no one else who can help me. You have come this far with me. We're almost there. I really sincerely need your help. And he turned and he walked away. And I said after him to his back, it's too late for me to call the Parks Department. I know this is my responsibility. I came here too late. Now it's after 5 o'clock. There's not anybody around to help me. I'm trying to get out of town. I'm late to the state Democratic convention. And he whipped his head around and he said, you're a Democrat? And I said, yes, sir, I am. And he eyed me for a long time. And then he kind of shook his head and he said, well, I'm a lifelong union man. Got to help a fellow Democrat. Come on, honey, let's go turn your lights on. And I learned some lessons that day that I should have already learned. You can't be a leader just when it's convenient. You cannot assume you know how someone will react and what someone thinks. When you get knocked down, you have to get up and you have to keep trying. But the most important lesson is that if you are willing to try, you can find a point of connection to anyone. But you have to be willing to try. And unfortunately, it seems that fewer and fewer of us are willing to try. So I'm going to tell you another story, and it's actually shorter than the first one. And that is that when I was a fellow at the Door Institute, I was assigned to mentor student government leaders, particularly in their interaction with the administration. And after a couple of instances where when I tried to shut down a request that they refused to drop by stating, you know, the university legally can't do that. They can't do what you want to do. I was told by one student, we don't like being told no. And I was told by another student, we're used to success. Okay, nobody likes being told no, and it's a good thing to be used to success. But it's more important to know how to deal with failure. Not because adversity builds character. I don't believe adversity builds character. I think adversity tests character. But leadership is a muscle that needs to be exercised. Leaders have to risk failure. If nothing in your life scares you, if nothing in your life tests your limits, if nothing in your life makes you question yourself, you aren't doing enough. You aren't pushing yourself enough. You aren't challenging yourself. You cannot make progress if you don't move forward, if you don't exceed your comfort zone and risk failure. Go to the edge of where you think you can and take one more step. And then that new place becomes their new launching place. And go to the next step, and the next, and the next. Failure is an option. It has to be if we're going to grow and learn. Graduates, you have an invaluable asset, a great education, and a world of opportunity. Rice is committed to preparing leaders, both in your fields of study and as engaged citizens. You're being called to leadership in a country that desperately needs it. And I know you're ready for it. But with that challenge in mind, I'm going to remind you that there is a word in English that means the opposite of itself. And that word and its contradiction is a perfect metaphor for our time. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines to cleave as to adhere firmly and closely, or loyally and unwaveringly. Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines to cleave also as to separate into distinct parts and especially into groups having opposing views. To cleave means both to join together and to split apart. You graduates experienced Hurricane Harvey. You survived the storm. You volunteered in the aftermath. You saw how it changed this city. Disasters tear lives apart, rip open social wounds, and expose where the cultural fabric is frayed. But disasters also create transcendent moments, individual and communal acts of courage and sacrifice and selflessness. Disasters bind us through a transformative shared experience at the same time as they winnow us into the lucky and the lost. And America has long been a messy amalgam of high ideals and base reality. We extol the benefits of diversity, and I know Rice talks about that a lot. We extol the benefits of diversity while we voluntarily segregate ourselves by race, gender, religion, culture, class, language, and politics. We're on the home stretch here. I see the umbrellas coming out. We hold more computing power in our cell phones than that which put a human on the moon. We have a world of information at our fingertips, yet where we used to argue the meaning of facts, now we argue the existence of fact. We fear that the more we seek the promise of America, the less American we become. The more who seek the promise of America, the less American we become. Think about today's technology allows us to connect to more people in more places and more quickly than ever dreamed possible. We find like minds, we find ourselves, we share our greatest joys, our deepest fears, and we share our worst impulses also, echoed back to us and echoed back to us. The more we find community in the electronic echo chamber, the less we engage with those who differ, disagree, and disapprove. The deeper we gaze into the infinity mirror, the farther we are from the complex, complicated, and contradictory living human beings around us. I used to advise young people who came to me for advice to find their passion and follow it, but I realized that instruction was incomplete. So now I say, find your service and give it your passion. It is to be blessed to find that they are one and the same. And it isn't only in times of crisis that we need to come together as human beings. Serve your country, serve your community, serve your art, serve your faith, serve science, serve a cause, serve something that is greater than you are. Life is a gift. Each of us struggles, faces pain, hardship, worry, sorrow, but life is still a gift. And every life matters, and every moment counts. Each day that passes is one you'll never have again. You may walk out of here and die in a hail of bullets tomorrow. You may die 80 years hence in your bed, but you have only one life. And in the end, what other lives will you have touched? What kindness will you share? What distance, what difference will you bridge? There is an adage I like that says, if it's not worth doing, it's not worth doing well. But know that when you find that which is worth doing, it is worth doing with everything in you, with your heart, with your soul, with your mind, with everything in you. Seek out that which is worth doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anise, for that really, truly memorable, inspiring talk. We're going to move along now with some speed here. As some of you may know, the Student Commencement Speaker Committee recommended some years ago that the university inaugurate an annual commencement award to honor a graduating student, undergraduate or graduate, whose academic or extracurricular work while at Rice University demonstrates the lifetime values and efforts of the named commencement speaker. This year, the Anise Parker Impact Through Service Award is presented to Navya Kumar and Sonia Torres, both of Hanson College. Navya has worked in a variety of contexts on issues of gender and sexuality, and Sonia has worked with a number of organizations for voting rights and voter impact. I now have the pleasure of recognizing one other student for his service to the university. The Sally Port Award is given to the undergraduate or graduate candidate who shows great promise in carrying forth the mission of the Association of Rice Alumni upon graduation. This year's awardee is Aiken Charles Bruce of Lovett College. These students are just examples of the extraordinary class of 2019, and we could spend a long time recognizing others. I'll single out just a couple. Kat Majors, for example, was a previous GSA president and is graduating today with her doctorate in bioengineering. She played an important role in representing graduate students in the elaboration of our strategic plan. The research she undertook is not only helping save lives of children in Africa, but developing new forms of testing that will help determine who should receive antibiotics. Graduating senior undergraduate Maurice Frediere was an intern on Mayor Sylvester Turner's campaign and used lessons learned to organize volunteer efforts after Hurricane Harvey, often working 18 to 20 hours a day. Ksenia Anashenko founded Alzheimer Buddies at Rice to bring essential personal familiarity and interactions to those suffering from Alzheimer's. Navia, Sonia, Aiken, Maurice, Kat, Ksenia, and others we recognize are just some examples of our students who, even before they have left this university, have made contributions not only here, but around the country and around the world. Others who we honor are the faculty and students and staff are printed in your program. Finally, I want to commend the class of 2019 on their commitment to Rice. Over the past academic year, and particularly throughout a month-long campaign in the spring, senior volunteers representing their colleges raised gifts for the Rice Annual Fund and other areas of the campus and broke a record, and 67% of the graduating seniors have already made their first contribution to Rice University, and we want to thank you for that. And now, before the rain gets any worse, we will proceed to the conferring of the degrees, an act that defines our basic mission as an academic enterprise. The candidates for the various advanced degrees will be presented by Dr. Marilyn Miranda, Provost of Rice University.
The degree of Doctor of Philosophy is awarded to those students who have successfully completed a rigorous course of study and research extending over a variable number of years and have made original contributions to their particular fields of knowledge, resulting in a thesis which must be publicly defended. The degree of Doctor of Musical Arts is awarded after completion of advanced study and required performances or original compositions. Will the wet and wise candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy and Doctor of Musical Arts please rise? Mr. President, these candidates and others whose names appear on the registrar's official list have fulfilled all the requirements for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Musical Arts and have been recommended by the faculty to the Board of Trustees for these degrees.
It is customary at each Rice commencement to ask the Assembly also to rise while doctorate degrees are conferred. So if you can, please rise. Candidates for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, you have committed yourselves to the high calling of scholarship and research, and you have made important contributions to new frontiers of knowledge and information. Candidates for the degree of Doctor of Musical Arts, you have distinguished yourselves in musical performance or composition at the very highest level. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Rice University, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Philosophy or Doctor of Musical Arts and admit you to all the rights, responsibilities, and privileges appropriate to those degrees. Congratulations.
Please be seated. The Master of Arts and Master of Science degrees are post-baccalaureate degrees in specific fields and require 1 or more years of specialized study beyond the baccalaureate degree, and in some cases a thesis. The professional master's degrees are post-baccalaureate degrees in various professional areas. The Artist Diploma in Music is awarded at the completion of a 2-year course of study beyond the master's degree. The curriculum prepares students for a career focused on performance at the very highest levels. Will the equally wet and wise candidates for the Master of Arts, the Master of Science, the Artist Diploma in Music, and the various professional master's degrees please rise? Mr. President, these candidates and others whose names appear on the registrar's official list have fulfilled all the requirements for the master's degree and have been recommended by the faculty to the trustees for these degrees.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Rice University, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Science, Master of Accounting, Master of Architecture, Master of Music, Master of Business Administration, all of the professional masters across the university in each and every field as listed in the program. Upon the recommendation of the faculty and the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Rice University, I confer upon you the degree of Master of Arts, Master of Science, or Artist Diploma in Music, and admit you to all the rights, responsibilities, and privileges appropriate to those degrees. Congratulations.
Please be seated. The Bachelor of Architecture degree requires a 2-year course of study after the Bachelor of Arts degree. One of those years is spent in preceptorship with an acclaimed architectural firm before returning to Rice for an additional year of advanced study. Will the candidates for the degree of Bachelor of Architecture please rise? Mr. President, these candidates and others whose names appear on the registrar's official list have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Architecture and have been recommended by the faculty to the trustees for this degree.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the University, I confer upon you and the names who appear in the registrar's official list the degree of Bachelor of Architecture and admit you to all the rights, responsibilities, and privileges appropriate to those degrees. Congratulations. We are almost finished.
Yeah, go.
The candidates for the bachelor's degrees will be presented by Dr. Bridget Gorman, Dean of Undergraduates, and by the magisters of the residential colleges.
The Bachelor of Arts degree marks the completion of a program of liberal undergraduate education in the arts and sciences. The Bachelor of Science degree marks the completion of an undergraduate program of liberal education combined with science and engineering. The Bachelor of Music degree marks the completion of a program of professional and liberal undergraduate education in music. Will all undergraduate degree recipients please rise? Mr. President, these candidates have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, or Bachelor of Music, and have been recommended by the faculty to the trustees for these degrees.
Upon the recommendation of the faculty and by the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Rice University, I confer upon these candidates whose names appear on the registrar's official list the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science, and Bachelor of Music in all of their respective fields, and admit you to all of the rights, responsibilities, and privileges appropriate to those degrees. Congratulations to all our graduating seniors. Please not rise now. First I would extend my congratulations to all of our graduates and their families. I apologize our influence didn't quite extend as far as we thought. We wish you great success and congratulate you on your contributions. Now please rise with me for a final and enthusiastic singing of Rice's alma mater. Following the alma mater, will the faculty and audience please be seated? Maybe not, until the graduates have recessed through the Sallyport Arch, and you can meet us, if you're not too wet, on Founders Court. And that concludes our ceremony. Congratulations.